Hello guys, my name is Gavin, and this will be a video on how to display text in an RPG style fashion. So essentially what we're going to do is overlay text onto our camera, and we're going to have it so that when we compress the spacebar, it's going to go on to the next line of the story or the dialogue. And then once we reach the end of it, we can hit the enter button, and then we can pretty much play the game. Alright guys, and I'm just going to get started. So to start off, double click the A button until everything is selected, and hit X and delete. Hit 7 to go on the top view and do spacebar, and then add a camera, like this. Now I'm going to drag this camera up. Hit 0 to go into our camera view, and what we're going to do is at the top of our screen, let's hit the plus sign and hit new. And then I'm going to rename this as text screen. So this is going to be where we display our text for our RPG. In our text screen, hit 7 to go on the top view and do spacebar, and then add a camera like this. Now what we are going to do is hit 0 to go into our camera in our text screen, and let's do spacebar and then add a plane. And this plane is going to be a background for our text. If you played games like Knights of the Old Republic, or I think Fallout 2, I'm not too sure, they will have these text screens like this. So hit the S and scale down on the Y, and then S and scale out on the X. I'm going to give this background thing a, let's say a black color, like this. So let's make the material black, like this. And if we hit P, we can see it's going to look like this. With our plane selected, let's do Object, Snap, and then Cursor to Selected. Do spacebar, then add a text object. This text object will is what we're going to use for our displaying of dialogue. Drag this out over here and scale it down like this. That's a fairly good size for text like this. I'm now going to rename this object as dialogue, like this. And let's go from defaults to game logic and go from Blender render to Blender game. And let's go back into our text screen view. Hit 0 to go into our camera view. And on our dialogue thing, what we're going to do is just add an always sensor, then add a keyboard sensor. And I'll rename this as space like this, and let's click tap and put the space bar in here. Because if I remember, if you play on PC for games like Knights of the Old Republic, if you press the space bar, it'll go on to the next line. Make sure this always sensor has those 3 dots selected. Let's add a Python controller like this and connect it like this. Now let's do templates Python and then game logic simple. And let's drag this out and delete the portion that I've highlighted. Hit Control and scroll up on your mouse to make your text larger. And what we are going to do is rename this to scripts.py and add this right here. Okay. What we're going to have happen now is I'm just going to create a game property variable like this, and let's call this variable sentence. So we're going to have it so that we can go through 5 sentences. So let's set this as sentence 1, and whenever we press the spacebar, it's going to add 1 to our sentence and essentially change the dialogue. So let's define the spacebar sensor in here as const.sensors space. And let's have if space.positive. Actually, and I'll also put an and statement right here. And own sentence is less than 5. So if we're able to toggle on to our next sentence, what we're gonna do is have own sentence is gonna plus equal 1. And if we hit this I right here and do game, actually, go to Blender game really quick over here. So toggle this to Blender game. Now click game and then show debug properties. We can see in the corner whenever I hit the spacebar, it's going to go up to sentence 5, like that. What we're going to have happen now is have an if statement. And actually, let's create a variable really quick. This variable will be, I'll just call this variable itself sentence dialogue, like this. And for right now, it's just going to equal, this is going to be really cheesy dialogue because I really don't know what to do. Like well, we're not obviously in a story right now. So let's just have something like, did you get it? That sounds good. Did you get it for now? And we're just going to display that sentence. So let's do own.text is going to be equal to sentence dialogue. Alright, so if we were to hit the play button now, we can see it's going to say, did you get it? What we're now going to do is have it so that this sentence dialog variable is going to change depending on what sentence we're actually on. So what we're going to do now is have if own sentence. Actually, let's define a variable. I'll call this number is going to equal own sentence. And we're going to reference this variable number for, to make it easier to pretty much change our sentences. So let's have if number is equal to 1, or actually let's have it equal to 2, because we want to have, for just our default one is 1, we just want to have the dialog equal to this. Okay. Now, for number 2, what we're going to have is have sentence dialog is going to equal good, where is it? Okay, so if we were to hit play now, we can see if we press the space bar, it'll change to good, where is it? Let's now have an if statements for if or number 3. Let's have sentence dialog is going to equal, how did you get it? These are all just random questions, but they work for this video. If number is equal to 4, let's have sentence dialog is going to equal how much for it, or something like that. Like, let's say this is like, you know, the merchant from Resident Evil 4 or something like that. And if number is equal to 5, what we're going to do is have sentence dialog is going to be equal to here you go, like implying that he actually bought the item. Okay, so if we were to hit play now, we can see there's actually an error really quick. Let me check. Oh, if number is equal to 4, double equal this to 4 right here. My mistake. We can see it's going to start off as did you get it? Good, where is it? How did you get it? How much for it? Here you go. Like that. What we now want to do is actually we're going to have it so that once it reaches number 6, or essentially once we're done with the these sentences, we're going to have it remove the scene. So let's add an actuator, and let's say this will be a scene actuator. I'll name this as remove scene, and let's put text to screen. And I'll name this actuator as remove like this. Minimize this. And I'll drag this down. And let's define our remove actuator. So let's do remove is going to equal consta actuators remove. Like this. Okay, now that we have that, let's actually change it so that if this is less than 6. So if pretty much, if we're going to have it now have is, let's have if number is equal to 6. Is equal to 6. What we're going to do is have consta activates, and let's have remove, implying that we're going to remove the scene right here. Now what we want to do is overlay this into our main camera within our scene. So let's go back into our main scene like this, and let's on our camera, so right click on your camera on the main scene, let's add an always actuator. Let's just have it so that just don't have anything clicked down here, but just minimize it. Let's add a scene actuator. Change it from restarts to add overlay scene. And let's put text screen like that. Connect these like this. And we can see now if we hit P, it's going to overlay that. It says, did you get it? Good, where is it? How did you get it? How much for it? Here you go. And then it removes the scene as if we're done with the barter or the purchase. Alright guys, that's how you do a simple RPG style text system. I'm not really a big fan of RPGs in which I don't really make them very often. But this is one way I could definitely see how it works. So, alright guys, hope you found this useful.